Hello everyone, Zooba here with wild hair. I felt like doing today I'm talking about, it's actually nighttime, and I'm doing a sort of tonight I'm talking about. And I put a new pink background back there. Urkel is still in position as he always is. And today, or tonight, I'm just felt like showing some of my random LPs, soundtracks and related soundtrack items, LPs. Starting off with King of Kings. This was that King of Kings LP, which wasn't really the soundtrack, but it was Robert Ryan reads from the New Testament, inspired by the Metro-Goldwyn Mayer presentation of Samuel Bronston's production of King of Kings, music by Miklos Rozsa. So what you get on here is you get Robert Ryan, the actor who played, I guess, Barabbas in the film, reading passages from the New Testament, and I think there is actual music by Miklos Rozsa accompanying his readings. It's quite interesting. So this is a rare and just interesting album in my collection of soundtrack-related LPs. I don't think they ever put it on a CD, but what you get on side one is The Life of Jesus, 2130, and side two has The Healings and Miracles of Jesus, the Teachings and Doctrines of Jesus. So Robert Ryan reads about that with Miklos Rozsa's music in the background. I'll have to play this. I don't have a turntable right now that I can find, but I'll have to see if maybe YouTube has some excerpts from this and put it on the post below if I could find something. Anyway, this is just an interesting LP I wanted to share. Next, we have Alex North's score from a movie he did called Somebody Killed Her Husband, but this is a Japanese release, and they called the movie in Japan, Somebody Killed Her Husband, they called it Charade 1979. So this is the only release of any kind of music from Alex North from Somebody Killed Her Husband on this LP. It's quite interesting. It's all written in Japanese. Farrah Fawcett and Jeff Bridges, I believe it was. Interesting. And I don't remember what it was like, but there might be some music on YouTube that I could link up. Somebody Kills Her Husband. I'll see if I can find that. But does anybody else have this out there? I don't know where I found it, but I just had to have it in my collection. This Farrah Fawcett. Here's another one that's just out of the blue. Soundtrack from a movie called Goin' Coconuts with Donnie and Marie. This was the soundtrack album, LP, to Goin' Coconuts with Donnie and Marie. I saw them in Vegas in, when was it? When did I see them in Vegas? 2019? Yes, I think I did. I think it was 2019. It was one of their last performances. I went with my cousin, flew to Vegas, and saw them at Harrah's Tahoe. Not Harrah's Tahoe, it was before they were there. They were at the Flamingo. Me and my cousin, we stayed at the Flamingo Hotel, and Donnie and Marie's were performing there, one of their last shows together at the Flamingo. It was the Donnie and Marie showroom, and it was a good show, I remember. Wonderful. And then Marie quit doing the shows in Vegas, and Donnie went on to Harrah's Hotel and did a solo performance there. Anyway, that's off topic, but here's another album I got that's been up in the topics lately. Jerry Goldsmith's Criminal Law. I remember I was living in Long Beach when I first moved to LA, and this came out. And of course, I was a big Jerry Goldsmith fan, and I bought everything he did. I didn't see the movie, but I bought the soundtrack, and it just didn't do anything for me. It was nothing like anything that he had ever done before. It was all electronic, and it just left me cold. And I was not an enjoyable listen at all. I probably listened to it once and said I won't listen to this anymore. And yeah, Criminal Law. Some people like it. I liked his other electronic score better, to Runaway with Tom Selleck. That was much better, I thought, much more listenable. Criminal Law just didn't do anything for me at all. Anyway, next album is an old Richard Chamberlain album. Richard Chamberlain played Dr. Kildare in an old TV series in the 60s, which Jerry Goldsmith wrote a lot of the scores and did the main theme. And in this album, Richard Chamberlain, who played Dr. Kildare, sang Jerry Goldsmith's song, 3 Stars Will Shine Tonight. I'll see if I can link that up below. And it was the first time anyone could get Jerry Goldsmith's music, I think, on an LP from that show. They never released any of his music from the TV show until much later. I think Lucas actually put out a Dr. Kildare 2 or 3 CD set. Wonderful. Next, moving on, I always loved the Varese LP releases, and I had to get this because the cover was just so superb. Miklos Rozsa's Knights of the Round Table, and I loved the main theme from Knights of the Round Table. Da 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 da. Great. I'm sorry, Zooba cannot sing. I won't do that again. Sorry. Anyway, wonderful LP of Miklos Rozsa's score. I loved Jerry Goldsmith's soundtrack to The Great Train Robbery. In America, it was called The Great Train Robbery. I think in England or other places, it was called The Last or The First Great Train Robbery. They put a first in there. Not the last. The First Great Train Robbery. And I just love the artwork. That's such cool artwork. And the back had so many cool photos of Sean Connery, Donald Sutherland, and Leslie Ann Down. And just a wonderful, rousing Jerry Goldsmith score on LP. Next we have something that's sort of soundtrack related. John Denver album. Kind of old. It only cost me 50 cents. That's why it's kind of a weird cover. It's not that great condition, but the LPs inside are very good condition. It was a live, an evening with John Denver. It's a fold out. And he was live performing. And the neat thing about this was the orchestral arrangements, and the orchestra was conducted by Lee Holdridge, who was big with John Denver, helped orchestrate a lot of his music with backgrounds of orchestral backgrounds and orchestrations and things. So they were a good team together, Lee Holdridge and John Denver. Loved them both. Here's an interesting album, America. And what's cool about this is America Live, and it was performed at the what was that place? Performed at that famous venue. The famous venue. Why can't I think of it? It's a theater, outdoor theater in L.A. Anyway, what's cool about this is Elmer Bernstein, the film composer, was there conducting the concert. And here they are live on stage at it was the Greek Theater, that's where it was, live out on stage, outdoor Greek Theater in Los Angeles, Hollywood. And what was cool about it is Elmer Bernstein was conducting the live orchestra along with the group America. There's a full orchestra back here, and that's Elmer Bernstein there in the shadows conducting. Pretty cool. Elmer Bernstein in America. And my last thing I would like to show, well, let me see, is an interesting album. Well, there's two more. Country Bear Jamboree, original soundtrack of the attraction at Disneyland and Disney World. I guess this is when it was at Walt Disney World. All the songs from the attraction of the Country Bear Jamboree, which is pretty cool. And it opened up into a nice gatefold here, and it had a booklet in there, pages. This kind of fell out. That was in there, and it was really cool. It had all sorts of pictures and all this stuff. Really neat. Big Albert. All that. Just a wonderful presentation when LPs did all that extra stuff and put in a lot of extra stuff along with the LP. And there's the back. Just a nice, elaborate presentation. All that inside. Some of the book fell apart, so I have to stick it back in there. But just a wonderful presentation. And then a couple more, I think, here. We have always love the TV presentation of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And it had music and lyrics by Johnny Marks. And this was the original LP I got way back in the day. Just wonderful. Remember that on television when you were a kid? Original soundtrack. Wonderful. And one of my favorite LPs of all times, which I talk about a million times all the time on FSM. People think I'm crazy. Dave Grusin's Bobby Deerfield Al Pacino race car movie. Love the score. Never on CD. Great love story. Al Pacino and Martha Keller. Just simply wonderful. Deserves a CD release. So, that's it for right now. Zooba's today I'm talking about. Actually, tonight I'm talking about. With Wild Hair. Urkel in the shot. Pink background. Zooba out. Thanks for watching. Ciao.